going on, going thing.
Hello friends, and welcome to another class by Daily English Classroom. Today we are discussing the lesson called Mother to Son, written by Langston Hughes. And before we start the class, if you haven't subscribed to this channel, please do subscribe to get your daily classes. This poem is written by Langston Hughes. Langston Hughes is an important American writer, playwright, activist, and also a columnist. And he is one of the innovators of jazz poetry, and also he is the leader of Harlem Renaissance, which was a movement of black writers in America. And his most important works are Montage of a Dream Deferred, The Negro Speaks of Rivers, and Let America Be America Again. This poem is a dramatic monologue. Now, what's a dramatic monologue? A dramatic monologue is a type of poem in which one character speaks and there is a listener, and the listener is only passively listening to what he or she is saying. This poem is titled Mother to Son. From the title itself, we can understand that this is the words of a mother. Mother is giving an advice to her son. In this poem, a black American mother is giving advice to her son about how to lead his life in a society dominated by the white people. In this poem, we can see that only the mother is speaking and the son is listening to it. It's a dramatic monologue. The mother says that life for her was not very smooth. Life for her was very difficult. And she advises her son to face all these challenges and go forward. Let's go to the poem Mother to Son by Langston Hughes. Let's take the first stanza of the poem. Well, son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. It's had tacks in it, and splinters, and boards torn up, and places with no carpet on the floor bare. From the first line of the poem, we can understand that the poem is addressed to her son. Mother is talking to her son. She begins it like this: well, my dear son, listen to this. I'll tell you, I'm going to give you an advice and listen to me. We can see the short form is used here instead of I will. I'll is the short form of I will. Well, my dear son, I'll tell you, life for me ain't been no crystal stair. Life for me was not a crystal stair. Crystal stair is an important image used in this poem. It is an extended metaphor, a staircase. A staircase, as you all know, is made up of some steps on which we have to climb to reach the top. The mother starts by saying that for her, life was not very smooth. Life was not a crystal stair. Crystal stair is a stair made up of glass or crystals. And crystal means very smooth and easy to go. And she begins by saying that life for her ain't been no crystal stair. We can see the use of two negative words here, and she means that life for her was not a crystal stair. Life is not a crystal stair. And in this poem, we can see the poet has made use of the Afro-American dialect of English. Now, what's a dialect? A dialect is a different variety of the same language. So, this is the type of the variety of English spoken by the Afro-Americans. the Americans from Africa, Afro-American dialect is used in this poem. And we can see so many examples of Afro-American dialect from this poem, like ain't been means not. So she tells us that life was not a crystal stair for her, and therefore the son should not expect it to be better. He has to understand that life will be like that. Life is not very smooth, a smooth crystal stair to climb. Life is very difficult. You have to go through the different steps. Here, the staircase is a metaphor for life. Staircase, which contains different steps, and you have to walk on these different steps of the staircase to reach the destination. So the staircase here is life, and she says that don't expect that life is a very smooth crystal stair, but instead it had a tax in it. Tax means nails. This staircase is very difficult to climb. It is not as you imagine. It's not a crystal stair, but it is a staircase where you have to face the tax. Tax means nails. So when you walk on these steps, sometimes on some steps you will see the tax or the nails which may hurt your legs. It's had a tax in it and splinters. Splinters means the broken pieces of wood. And this is not very soft crystal staircase, but it's a very difficult staircase. Sometimes you have to step on the nails and splinters to climb this staircase. And in some places the boards are torn up. And when you start climbing, you can also find that there are some places with no carpet. So here we started with the metaphor of the staircase, and the poet goes on continuing the same metaphor, and that's called an extended metaphor. In this poem, we can see the extended metaphor of the staircase. The poet just talked about a staircase, and he continues referring to that staircase and explaining more about that staircase. So it's an addition to the metaphor staircase. So it is further extended. The same metaphor is extended here in this poem. So this is an example of extended metaphor. Usually in a poem we find a metaphor in one place, then that's all. But here the poet has used one metaphor, and he goes on explaining further about the same metaphor, and that is called an extended metaphor. And the poet says that in this staircase you can find some places where there are no carpet. That means the realities of life are very harsh, and you have to step on those places, on those steps where there are no carpets, and it is bare. The poem is a free verse. That means there are no limitations or no rules in the formation of lines, because here we can see the length of the line is varying to such an extent that there is one line with one word. We can see that the end of the first stanza, one line has got only one word, bear, and the bear is referring to the sufferings of the black people in America, how they have faced different challenges in life, and how they are state of real poverty. Bare means without. They don't have enough food or things that they needed to live in the society. So bare is a word in one line the poet has used to tell us about the scarcity or the lack of the basic needs of the black people living in America. So in this stanza, we can understand that how a black person is suffering in a white-dominated society. The poem is a dramatic monologue. Only the mother is speaking and the son is just listening to what the mother says. The mother tells her son that life had not been very smooth for her. The steps she had to climb were broken here and there, and she had to be careful not to fall down. The floor is not carpeted, showing that life had been very rough for her. But in spite of all these problems she faced, she had been steadily climbing and reaching landings. Sometimes she had been walking in darkness without any light at all. She had to negotiate dangerous bends. The mother gives the advice to the son that you don't expect that life will be very smooth for you, because living in a society dominated by the white people is very difficult. You have to face many challenges, many problems, which are symbolized by the use of tacks and splinters and the steps without carpets in this poem. Let's go to the second stanza of the poem. But all the time I's been a climbing on and reaching landings and turning corners, and sometimes going in the dark where there ain't been no light. So, boy, don't you turn back. Don't you set down on the steps, 'cause you finds it's kinda hard. Don't you fall now, for I still going, honey, I still climbing, and life for me ain't been no crystal stair. Here, the mother again tells the son that in spite of all these difficulties and the problems that she faced, she never gave up. She never stopped climbing on the stair of life. Therefore, she wants her son to do the same. But all the time, she was climbing on. I's been climbing on is again an example of Afro-American dialect. I have been climbing on. And reaching and landings are different situations in her life where she faced the challenges of life. Reachings and landings and turning corners. The turning corners are important turning points in her life, or new changes that are happening to her life. And she had faced situations where she doesn't know what to do. And the areas where there is no light, or when there is only darkness, stands for the darkness that she faced in her life. That means a situation in which she doesn't know what to do. But the last few lines of the poem give the boy the final advice of the mother, and it is that you may face different types of problems and situations in this life, but you have to move forward and face all these problems just like the mother, or just like her. She tells, don't turn back, don't think about going down the staircase. You have to go up. You have to climb the staircase. In spite of all these problems, you have to go up, not go down, or thinking about going down the steps. You have to move forward. Never think about sitting on the steps. Sitting on the step means to continue in the same way without any change. So don't sit on the steps. Don't think about going down the steps. You have to move forward, because life is like that. There are so many problems you have to face. Life is hard, and be very careful that you don't fall down from the steps. Watch out. And the mother gives herself as the example for how to face these problems, and she is very proud that though she faced many problems, she is still climbing on. Even now, she is climbing these steps of life, and she wants her son to do the same. And she gives herself as the example. Why these words? I's still climbing on, honey, my dear boy. I am still climbing this staircase. And life was not very smooth for me. It will not be smooth for you, but you have to move forward and don't think about taking rest on any of the steps or going downwards. You have to just move forward and face the challenges of life and be ready to face the challenges. Don't think that it would be easy. She is telling her son never to feel disappointed and turn back. He should not sit down on the steps even though he might find them hard to climb on. He should be careful not to fall down. In the end, she tells her son that all her life she had been climbing. In spite of all the problems, she is still climbing. The obstacles should not stop us from going ahead. That's all about this poem. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.